Hi, you're with Mark and Diane from Real Estate News and Views, and you want to tell the people what we're going to talk about today, Mark?
Yeah, we're going to show a timeline, some recent data that came across my fingertips and Diane's, where we know that the market has shifted in the last couple of months, and we know the reasons why. And we're going to go in depth a little bit more with those.
With
We
pricing, Mark, too. Pricing, not
got listings, and then we want to zoom it out a little bit. That really anyone that bought 5, 6 years ago is still sitting in a good position. So, we hear a lot of doom and gloom, which everyone is talking about right now. But I think it's really important to look at the bigger picture too. And I hope we can provide some insight with that and show the viewers that it's not all that bad.
yeah, and the thing we got is actually for all across Ontario, so it's not just for the Barrie market, but it kind of shows what's happening everywhere, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important that we just maybe we look at some other markets, right? We can look at some other markets as to what they're experiencing. I know similar to GTA markets right now, they are experiencing very similar situations that we are in Simcoe County right now. Lots of product, prices are kind of flat. Um, Deals aren't happening. Pricing is wrong on some properties. So, and then the buyer particularly is kind of scared right now, right? They're in fear. We don't know what's going to happen in this economy. We don't know what's going to take place. And I think that's what's holding back a lot of buyers right now.
Well, and you know what's funny? You said to me, well, North Bay's doing great. Because your brother saw, because you're from North Bay, and your brother saw an article that said it was doing great, prices are up and blah, blah, blah. But when you look at the thing we have, um, it's actually not true.
Right.
So I'm going to share that, which is kind of interesting because we've seen articles that are not really telling the complete story either, right?
Oh, they're out there. Let's do Barrie Simcoe County and then maybe we pick up a couple of regions in our area and see what we can find. I know there's some are up, or not all markets are impacted. We also have Ontario, we also have other provinces. So I think, this video can definitely shed some light onto some things.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is the price and the percentage of change in price
Mhm.
from 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 12 months, 3 years, and 5 years.
Looks like those are going back in March, correct? The prices. So,
Yes.
well, but there's a lot of data there, and we haven't really seen things much different anyway. If anything, we've seen them kind of go a bit more down, to be honest.
Right. So from Barrie, sorry about that. From Barrie, from 1 month ago, it's point 0.4. The price is down like almost 0.5%.
Okay.
From 3 months ago, it's down 1.7%.
So that puts us December, January, February, March. That puts us December.
Mm-hmm. 6 months ago, 1.9% down.
That puts us into spring, I would think,
Mm-hmm.
without going
12 months ago, so a full year, we're 1% down,
right.
which is not a lot. Like that's what we kept trying to say. The prices really are not dropping. Not a lot.
Not a lot. And, we are seeing transactions being done, right? We are seeing an influx of inventory into the marketplace. We're seeing that consistently.
So considering that, the prices really haven't gone down that much, considering this huge influx. Not really. Now, from 3 years ago, which was that crazy COVID nonsense,
Right.
it's down 19%.
Correct. And everybody experienced that. We're going to go through some, we'll look at some other ones that aren't, but even glancing up, you know, we're a bedroom community to Toronto, right? We're going to feel the
Calgary went down,
went up.
went up. But I've heard a lot of people during that time, you know what happened too. A lot of people actually left here and went there. We know some realtors that went there.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's, they've cost of living's cheaper,
Yeah.
right? Sales
Yeah.
tax is cheaper. So people did make that move. Housing is a lot cheaper. Where we are in the year to date in Barrie
What do you mean?
as appreciation.
Well, this is the thing. From 5 years ago,
So
which was
2000,
a normal market,
mhm,
we're up 51%.
right. So someone bought in that 2019, 2020 area, they're up 50%, right? The
Well, I
market.
remember, yes, and remember the house I just sold?
Mhm,
I bought it in 2019 for 519
right.
and I sold for 820 this year.
Right. So you were okay. You had some good equity building
Well, now I did do some fixes, right?
for sure.
I redid the kitchen and the bathroom,
Mhm.
but over a 5 year span, and we let's remember, yeah, we were down 19%, but this was like a pandemic. This was like a crazy thing that, happens every 100 years. That wasn't a normal occurrence.
That was a blip in the market.
It was a blip.
It wasn't, it wasn't truly sustainable.
No.
That any
And
smart person would figure that out.
and if you look, um,
Pick one
in
area that you can look at, and I don't care which it is, but
well,
pick.
in Ontario, really, Oakville Milton went down 2.9, Northumberland Hills 3.3, and North Bay, like we were talking about, is actually one of the higher ones at 3.1, 2.3. But then look at them over 5 years.
Right, up 100%. So someone bought back in that market around that time, the property value doubled,
Yeah.
right? What's happening in that market, and I just don't want to focus on North Bay, I want to go through some other ones, is that as we progress north, home affordability opens up for a lot more people. Just those north
Yes.
communities just lack industry, lack jobs. So that's a thing. So someone wants to, I really believe that North Bay and surrounding areas becoming a retirement community.
Well,
Okay.
it is. And I think like even Sault Ste. Marie, 87% up,
Right.
right? Like those are some of the highest, Tilsonburg, those are some of the highest over a 5 year period. And I think over the shorter periods, I mean, I don't see a huge amount. Hamilton, Burlington.
Go through from start to finish on Hamilton so they can follow our video.
Okay, so Hamilton, Burlington in 1 month was down. Now I lost it. There, 1.3.
Okay. And Barrie was down. I'll find the Barrie. Barrie was down 0.4. So,
Yes.
really, let's talk about it before you go on. So, closer to GTA market, right? More in the heart of everything
Yep.
is down more than we are, being in the outskirts of the GTA market.
Yep.
Okay.
Over 3 months, 3.9.
1.7 for Barrie. So
6 months mark, 5.7.
1.9%.
A year, 4.7.
1%.
Over 3 years, 22 and a half, 22.3.
COVID time, 19%.
And now their increase over 5 years was 30.7.
Barrie is 50.4.
Yeah.
Let's find another one in. Does it have anything for Toronto or GTA markets, Dan?
Greater Toronto, yes.
Let's take a look at that one because I think,
Yeah, they're worse than us too. So 1.4
okay,
over 1 month. I don't know if I can get Barrie and Toronto in the same, can I?
pull it down. I'll take a picture of it and then I'll just keep,
Oh, I got it.
okay,
So 1 month, 1.4. Barrie's up at the top at point 0.4.
okay, 0.4,
3 months, 3.2.
1.7,
6 months, 3.1.
1.9. So we're a little higher than 6 months,
Um, 3 years. No, 1 year,
1 year,
3.4.
1%,
3 years, 17.6.
Yeah, we were 19%.
So we had a bigger drop,
Hmm. Hmm.
but over 5 years, 30 to the positive, and we're
51%. So
51.
you can kind of see those GTA markets and surrounding areas are feeling some impact. And it's natural, right? When we look at the industries and, Hamilton, Burlington, they got some car plants down there. And these numbers for April, I'm anticipating in May them to drop a little bit more. I really am. And
Hmm.
it's just because of the fear factor that's out there with the economy. And that's the biggest one that's hanging over a dark cloud over everyone's head. Do we make a move? Do we not make a move? And that's going to really, you know, um, be impacted on our markets in Ontario.
Well, and the thing that kind of gives me, I think one of the things this thing shows is something that you and I have kind of been saying for a while. One, that prices really haven't, even though the inventory is out of this world, prices haven't been impacted the way we thought. Like we thought it would be down more than that.
The general public think it's going to go down 50%.
I
The
know
public think, and again, for many reasons, think that, okay, home affordability is, though the prices have to come in more in line with income to property values. It's never going to happen. I really just don't think it's going to.
it's not.
Are we going to feel some impacts? Immigration policy has been tightened a little bit. That's another thing to think about too. We had a lot more immigrations opening up the door for more people to come in. Now they're kind of, shutting that a little bit. So that's going to impact some sales for sure down the road. So I don't see sales. I see sales probably going down compared to last year consistently. We've been seeing it since February. I do believe that will continue until we have more clarity onto what is going to go on in the Canadian economy. Um,
But the prices are not being impacted the way you would assume they would be.
they're not. They're not. We're not seeing them. We're not
And
seeing
and it's not just us, it's all across Ontario. Like we're all the same.
it.
Not
Correct.
all this exactly the same, okay, but nobody's seeing a huge drop. Now, the only one that I kind of saw,
Let's go pick a couple other. Maybe we'll do what we've done in Northern Ontario. Let's see. I'm more concerned about GTA markets. Is there any other data in there we can look at?
well, Mississauga,
Okay, let's do that one. Is that on there? Let's do that one. That one's a good one.
yeah,
One-
1.6 and we were at a half.
We're at 0.4.
They were at 4.1 for 3 months,
Barrie's at
or
one.
sorry, 6 months.
Let me just pull up my thing if I have it still.
They're actually they're probably one of the worst.
We're at 1.7. They're at 4.1. Okay.
And then in,
Full
this
year.
is 3, 6,
That's full year right there.
full year, 4.9%.
We're at one.
No, the full year is 3.7, isn't it?
Not for Barrie. It's one.
12 months ago, yeah, this is the full year.
Right.
This is 1 month, 3 months, 6 months,
Correct. In a year.
and a year.
Right.
3.7.
We're at one.
Now, over the COVID, they're at 20.6,
We're 19. So very similar.
but look at their increase over 5 years,
Thank you.
19.5.
Yep. Yep. So,
And everybody else in Ontario,
why do you think that is?
nobody's at 19.5.
Why do you think? Why do you think that is? That we're so much higher than some of these GTA markets for when we
Well,
look 5 years?
first of all, I think some of these GTA markets were really high priced. Like some of them were like, you remember, I think Mississauga, the Oakville, all of those kind of places used to be kind of like a subsidiary of Toronto almost, you know what I mean?
Oh, it still is. Yes.
It still is. But Mississauga, I find that it doesn't really have all that much stuff there. And I've actually looked in those areas with people. I had a buyer in that area. I don't know. It's not just the great, to me, it's just not the greatest area. Like,
Well, it's still GTA market that's close to the city, and and when we look at we look at the way our market's been performing over the last 5 years, even put it back even 10 years, we've seen an influx of people move into the community due to home affordability, right?
Yeah.
We're north, we're in the boonies compared to Toronto. That's what
But
Torontonians
I,
think.
I think it's spread out more now where everybody used to do like the Brampton, the Mississauga area. And it seems to me like people started going more to the Hamilton area, the Guelph area,
For sure. For
the
sure.
the like kind of more outside like big city.
But it's still important to be close to that big city for people that work. We see it on the highways every day, right? The commuter population keeps growing on these highways today. We see it all the
Yes.
time.
Well, and the other thing is Mississauga was also one of the highest priced.
It's not a cheap area. You got some neighborhoods that fetch big money. We're a couple hundred grand off the average price compared to Mississauga. That's a substantial decrease. So when we
That's right.
look at community. So our next batch should be that we go through is let's look at average price in some of the communities and let's look at the 5 year appreciation and see what we see. Right now in Barrie, we're seeing, hey, your house went up 50% or doubled, right? Seeing that. But other
Yes.
GTA
Uh,
markets, and we're not seeing that.
Well, and you notice that's what I was saying. Like in Toronto, the average price was 1,050,000 and it only went up 30%.
What's the average price
Mississauga,
in
we're in the same boat, 1,024,700. It only went up 19. But
right?
then you look at London and St. Thomas, it was the average price was 601. It went up 50%.
Right. So we're seeing the lower price as people, again, we've been, home ownership's been you know, everybody wants to get into owning a home, and to do that, people have to leave the city, GTA markets.
Exactly. So exactly. And that's kind of what you kind of see here. Like Kitchener Waterloo was at 710. It went up 35. Guelph was at 801 and it went to up 35. Now what was Barrie? Barrie was 784 and it went up 51.
Right, right,
So it seems like look at Bancroft, 498, it went up 73.
right.
So it seems like the outlying areas that were lower prices actually went up higher.
Is it demand?
Yes.
No
And
other
I
way.
think it's the people moving out of these really, really high priced areas.
For sure.
And you know, Mark, I wanted to talk about so since COVID, we also have a lifestyle change, a big one. How many people now do you know, or that you had buyers or sellers that now work from home totally, 100%? Don't go to the office or go in one day a week.
I know some, but a lot have returned to the office, right? But we also got to keep in mind our market has, infrastructure in place. We have GO trains in place. We have a great schedule. There's two stations. It's continuing growing, right? So that saves on the, but it's time out of your day, right? But when we look at that COVID buyer that bought and left the city, and a lot of them did end up going back, right?
Well,
And
I've had two or three buyers. Like I was the one with the listing, and the agent says, "Well, like they don't. It doesn't even really matter where they live." Germany. I've had a lot of different buyers call me too, saying, "Well, like we both work from home, so it doesn't really matter where we live. We can live anywhere."
there's people like that, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot more. Like before COVID, you didn't see that. That wasn't a discussion you had with people where they said, "Oh, we can live anywhere." Like
No,
they really cared about the location, what town they were in. Um, a couple of YouTube people that have called me looking to buy both of the like they doesn't matter where they live. They do both like they both work from home, but the biggest thing that they care about is internet service.
for sure, for sure. This, and that has to be a plus, right?
Well, a lot of them, if you don't have high speed internet, and I've had at least 3 or 4 buyers in the last year, they can't buy there then. They work online. They're working, they have to have good internet. So, like Ramara, Midland, all those places where, well, Midland isn't bad, but when you start getting north of Oro, it's bad service, Mark.
For sure, and that's important. What we should do is let's go back to that chart. I wouldn't mind seeing what Western Canada is doing, right?
Okay.
I kind of want to just, keep that there's some great data in there, and I think we should just kind of keep going over a couple more areas in a sense. We kind of have a grasp on what's going on in Ontario. Let's see what's going on in the West Coast.
I'm interested in New
Me
Brunswick too because
me
there was a
too. Me too.
huge,
Do that one first because I'm really interested in that one too because we've seen a lot of clients that
oh, they all
move
bailed and went there, right?
right, and we can just see by looking at some of the numbers they're massively high.
So 1 month, 0.3
Okay, we're
in
zero
New
point.
Brunswick, 2.8 over 2 months, or sorry, 3 months, up 4.7 over 6, up 8.9 over a year, up 16.3 over
That's a
three
year.
years, and up 84% over 5.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of people from Ontario that moved east.
Oh, I remember that, Mark. I like it was going crazy. And for some reason, they were all going to New Brunswick.
Yep.
They weren't doing the PEI or the Nova Scotia thing, and you can kind of see by the prices. Well, they're level basically.
What about Moncton? And let's go over. So Fredericton was what's the average price? New Brunswick was 323,900 average price. Fredericton 340,200. Greater Moncton 360,500. But we can't find ice shacks for that price.
No,
Is it?
exactly. We can't like we can't
And
even build a whole house for that in Ontario.
we get to bigger cities and communities, averages 549. It's called 550,
Yeah.
363. Like that's achievable for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Price points. Ontario is not.
Well, and I've had a lot of people that wanted to go there and some haven't gone yet, like they thought about it. And the biggest thing I tell them, because this happened to my sister's friend, okay, and I want to talk about this quick. Then we'll go back and we'll do Western Canada. They decided to move east, like past Peterborough, out in the middle of nowhere, okay?
Okay.
They sold here in Ontario, basically paid cash almost, right? After 2 years, like they hated it. The winters were horrible. Like they hated it there. They were far away from their family. They hated it. Problem was they couldn't come back here.
Priced out of the market.
They were priced out of the market. They couldn't get a mortgage for what they needed, even if they sold theirs and, put the whole amount down. They couldn't qualify. They're still there to this day. That was 20 years ago. They got priced out of the market and they couldn't come back.
Yeah, yeah, it's got to
So
be a
when you decide to make that move, you better think twice
you
about it.
gotta do your research. You better understand what the climate could be like.
Yes.
That
And
changes year over year.
you have to have a job or be able to transfer and have an income to get the mortgage in your new place.
Well, if you're moving back to Ontario,
You
yeah.
can't say, "Oh yeah, I have a great job out here in New Brunswick and I'm making this money." You have to be able to make that here to get that mortgage. So
Yeah, they're cheap.
anyway, we'll go back to check out the West. Now, BC we know is always expensive. But look at it, it's just like Lower Mainland, Greater Vancouver, Fraser Valley, they're all really high. They're even higher than Toronto.
Mhm.
And in that really high area, they went down zero point 0.7 for 1 month. They went down 1.7 and 1.5 in 3 months. 6 months ago, half for Greater Vancouver. 12 months ago, 1.1 and only a half for Vancouver. 3 years ago, they're only down 9 and 5, where we're down huge in Ontario. They did not see that big drop that we did,
Yeah.
but over 5 years, 332.9 and 28.6.
Do a little shout out here too. Folks, you like this material, definitely hit the subscribe button to receive more information on the Barrie Simcoe real estate market. And in our top part of our descriptions, we have links. We have a link for home valuation, and we have a link for buyers who are looking to move into the community. Hit those links, and we'd love to work with you and get back to you. Yeah, it's
So,
in,
well, and when we already kind of went over Alberta, right? They like Calgary saw a big influx too, but look at the average price.
yeah,
And they have seen, well, look at Edmonton. In 1 month down up zero point 0.7, 3 months up 5,
yeah.
6 months up 6.7, 12 months up 12.6, 3 years up 8, 5 years up 26.
Those Western markets like Calgary, when we're doing bad, they're doing good. It rotates all the time, it seems. And I don't know a lot about those markets, and I know they're definitely tied to oil. Um, that's all I'm going to say because I just don't know them that well. But, I've had people go out there and buy properties that there's investing when, Calgary started to get hot, and then, a couple years later it went sour and then it's back up. Like it's teeter-tottering quite a bit. Um,
I do find that it's more volatile there
it is.
than it is here. Um, but you definitely can buy cheaper. My big thing with it is, I mean, you have to move away from your family if you have family, and it's damn cold.
Sometimes, not in Calgary. Edmonton, yeah, but my first time visiting Calgary it was in March, and I asked about I was when we got there, it was the end of March, uh, close to the end of March. I was walking around in shorts and t-shirts, just 14, 15 degrees, beautiful out. So they don't experience the winters in Calgary so much. Again, depending where you are,
Yeah.
right? I was downtown Calgary. So, Lake Louise, those areas, Banff. Yeah, it was -5 4 days ago. I seen someone on TikTok skiing at Sunshine. Huh? With lots of snow. So I look on the weather, I go, it's -5 out there. So it really depends where you go. But my experience from out there, I did like the big city of Calgary. I really enjoyed the experience out there. And I really noticed the sales tax difference. That was
Yes.
attractive. 5% versus 13%. That's big. That's big. You
Yeah,
know,
it
dollars should go a
is.
lot further there, right? Depending on where I'm going. But anyway, I think
Anyway,
we
Mark, I think we did a good job there, and I think it even kind of educated us a little bit too.
just the market is going through some shifting times, and I think it will continue for a few months so we have more clarity. And the best advice I can give to sellers is, make sure that you're looking at the market data before just picking a number from the apple tree, price it properly. And buyers will pick up on that, right? Buyers will see those properties that are priced accordingly.
And long term, you're pretty safe.
No one's selling real estate like they're stocks.
Hmm.
We're married to a house. We're not married to a stock.
Hmm.
Right? In this for long, when the average time in Simcoe is 14 years before people make moves. So,
Yeah,
okay, enjoy the day.
you too.